So guys, today I want to talk about something I've been thinking about quite a bit, especially recently with some events I've gone through, and that is selling my video game collection. Now, this has happened to me in the past. Some years ago, before I started YouTube, I had a nice little collection of games and systems that I really loved. My daughter was born. We were kind of a little broke at the time, and it was like, you know what? I don't need this crap. Let me get rid of it. I didn't look back. I sold everything, got some money out of it, got a little comfortable. Now, recently, just a week ago, I had to replace the full damn engine in my car, and that threw me for a loop and got me thinking again. This is the second time, well, not really. I mean, I've had where I've lost jobs, stuff like that, and it was like, holy crap, what am I gonna do? But I bounced back pretty quickly. But this time it was like, shoot, I have so much stuff that I don't need. Maybe I need to start thinking about selling some games, getting rid of some stuff in my collection, which really got me thinking, like, why do I collect? Why do people collect? When does it become hoarding? When does it become a problem? And there's many answers to that. We could go down tons of different rabbit holes on this discussion. I've known people who've collected because of, depression, that kind of thing. I've known people who collect just to have a hobby. I've known people to collect because they want to relive that, nostalgia from their youth. I've known people who collect because they're just crazy and they want to have everything. I know people who say they collect, but in reality, they don't collect. They hoard, because once you collect something and it just piles up and gets in the way, that's hoarding. I mean, if things aren't taken care of, if you're about ready to be on, hoarding, buried alive, that kind of thing, I don't really consider that collecting anymore. There's an issue going on. But I started looking at, well, why am I collecting some of the things I collect? And should I get rid of some of this stuff? Because who has the time? I mean, you can have thousands of games. Who the hell has the time other than to look at it? If you have your things neatly displayed and taken care of, that's cool. I try to have my stuff, neat and whatnot, but sometimes it does get a little out of hand. But I started thinking, why is it that I collect? Having gotten out of collecting previously and being fine with that, not really looking back, why did I start collecting again? And yeah, I became, a YouTuber, and that could be part of it, because then I started sharing a lot of things on YouTube. My YouTubing days started with me, revisiting old school games, because around that time I did get that itch, like, man, I want to play these old NES games, these Super Nintendo games. And what's the best way to do that? And for me, it was like, you know what? I don't want to spend a fortune. And I've probably spent some money. I do have some spending issues at times, but at the same time, the systems that I own, I don't own a ton of games for. The NES, the Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, Sega Genesis. I own a small handful of games for each of those systems. I don't have hundreds of games. I think the collection that I have is fairly modest, but that brings it into, well, I do now own systems that I don't have any nostalgia for, that I didn't grow up with. So what's the value of that for me now? But back to what I was saying, getting back into this, I started doing some RetroPie content, quite a bit of RetroPie stuff. And that was born out of, my YouTube channel got born out of that, where I was looking into this stuff. Like, man, I could play these old school retro games on a cheap $35 single board computer, plug that into my TV and start reliving some games. And I enjoyed the hell out of it. And that just led down the road of like, holy crap, I love this so much, but I miss having the original systems again. It was not even 15 years ago that I sold my collection that I had previously, but I started getting those feels like, man, like, I love having original controllers in my hand, original cartridges. There's just a feeling behind it. So that's when I slowly started getting stuff, discovering stuff. I started buying clone consoles. If you followed my channel, we've covered a lot of clone consoles as well, because I thought, okay, well, that could be a solution, and that scratched that itch for a little while. And then it was like, man, I really love Nintendo. I love Sega. Let me get some of these systems and find solutions to play these games. And that just led down a bigger rabbit hole of, oh my God, how do I display this the best way possible on my TV? How do I enjoy these things the best way I can? Which just, it got bigger and bigger, looking at different solutions and whatnot. But Now, and the point of life that I'm at, it's not even so much that I need to or I want to sell my collection, but if with this situation that I just had where I had to replace my engine in my car, which freaking sucked, mind you, I'm gonna walk around, my fat ass walking around for a few days. I needed the exercise, can't complain. It was actually kind of fun. Me and my kids, my wife, we actually, the day that they called us and said, hey, you could pick up your car, it was like, holy crap, that was fast. We were actually like, you know what? Let's go walk to Best Buy, go pick up a game I had pre-ordered. Yeah, right, problems. Go down somewhere to go to Starbucks and chill for a minute, get some drinks, go find somewhere to eat, go to the store, look at some stuff. We just walked around, you know, for a good part of the day. And then we got that call when we were walking home. It was like, holy crap, mechanic's just down the street. Let's go get the car. Yay, we don't have to walk anymore. My kids were excited. They're like, oh my God, air conditioning and we don't have to walk? Hells yes. So, I mean, it was an interesting time. When it happened, I was kind of stressed out, but then at the same time, when I was thinking like, man, maybe I'm going to have to slim down this collection, sell some stuff that I don't really have any nostalgia for. I didn't feel bad about thinking that, because I mean, we only live once. I mean, enjoy what you want to enjoy, but my family, my kids, my wife, you know, our income, which has to be, you know, kind of evaluated in many different ways on how that income comes in, especially on my part with the things that I do. Those are more important than any collectible, anything that's going to sit on a shelf and collect dust. That's the thing for me, is if I have to make that call. Like, for example, the one thing that I started collecting that I don't regret, but was kind of pricey and I don't have a ton of games for it, was the Neo Geo AES, because it was something that, yeah, I didn't own it. I didn't know anybody who had one back in the day, but playing those games in the arcade, it was always a thing that was out of reach. And it was like, you know what, now I'm a big boy. Let me get one of these. You know, you can get the system for a reasonable price, but then the games are flipping nuts. So I got, you know, a handful of games that I really enjoyed, maybe a couple that were like really cheap or, you know, in consideration of what Neo Geo games go for. You know, I started thinking like, well, you know, is that going to be the first thing to go? You know, it's probably the stuff that I could get the most money for. Then I was thinking, well, what about my PC Engine and some of the games I have for that? I didn't grow up with the Turbo Graphics. Maybe I can get rid of that. So it started into that, where it was like, you know what? If I have to, I will. If I need to replace that money from my savings, that's what I'm going to do. I don't feel like the stuff that I have is necessarily overwhelming in the quantities that I have, because like I said, I only have a handful of games for each system. But then it comes down to like the Nintendo Switch, you know, which I do enjoy. I have a shit ton of games for the Switch and the PS4, more than I have total for the PS4 and Nintendo Switch than I have as far as retro games altogether. It's kind of too much on that end. You know, I used to be the kind of person that I would buy a system, get games for it when it was current, you know what I mean? Get done with the game and trade it or sell it to buy a new game. Never had money. I mean, I'm not rich or anything, but I would get to the point where it was like I would buy a game in my adult years, not have as much time to play it, and then something else would pique my interest, and it was like, well, I don't want to waste the money. Let me sell this and buy this new game that I want. And then maybe for whatever reason, the game I didn't care for or I didn't like, and I was like, shit, I wish I would have just kept that other game. I actually want to play it now. So I kind of stopped selling things, and that's how like my current systems I have too many games for, because I just gotten that mentality like, man, I don't want to miss out on this. If I trade it to get this and then I don't like this, then I'm gonna go waste money and buy this again. I didn't get full retail selling it, kind of thing. So yeah, I really do enjoy gaming. You know, I'm really into retro gaming, especially with the limited amount of time that I have. You know, so I really enjoy going back and revisiting things that I don't have to invest a lot of time in. That's one of the big reasons I really enjoy retro gaming. Not just the nostalgia, but just that things are quite a bit different between now and the games from then. You know, a lot of things are a bit more casual, easier to get into. But this part might be a little, you know, dependent upon how you think of things. But for me, I couldn't sit here and say I love my games. I like my games, but I love my kids. I would do anything for my kids. I would die for my kids if I had to. I wouldn't do anything of the sort of putting my life on the line to save my games. I wouldn't do that kind of stuff. So, you know, video games in my eyes, it's kind of it's just a luxury. It's something we could live without. We don't need it, but we can enjoy it. And I guess that's kind of what the point of this video was. I mean, I'm just kind of ranting and rambling about things. But, you know, if it comes at a point in time in your life where you have to pull up those big boy draws and make a decision to either move on or, you know, get rid of stuff you don't use, like, you know, just think about what the benefit is. You know, what other things are there? You know, I'm not saying I'm selling off my collection by any means, but if I needed to recoup some savings, yeah, I'm gonna slim down some stuff. You know, I went through this event with my vehicle, and it could get reimbursed. You know, there was a recall, all that kind of thing. So I'm going through that process. Not, you know, once it was all said and done, it was kind of like a relief. You know, yeah, I'm out of that money, but I'm not the kind of person where, oh my God, I got to pay these thousands of dollars. I need your guys' help. I mean, that's not who I am. I don't beg for things. I have things that, you know, some people don't have that aren't necessary in life. So to me, it's like, well, my first option is to get rid of stuff to make that money back. So that's what my point is if you have to, if you need to, you know, find other ways to enjoy things in your life. You know, gaming is great. It's something I really enjoy, but I've also looked at from where I've come as far as gaming goes, with my channel starting with RetroPie stuff, emulation. You know, now we have FPGA gaming with Mister and stuff like that. Could I be fine with that? Could I be fine with the mini classic consoles with my limited amount of time to dedicate to retro games? Yes, I would be fine with any of those options. I've been fine with them before. And that's one of the things that I see these arguments all the time. You know, I covered many different aspects of gaming on my channel, and it does drive me nuts a little bit when somebody says, why don't you just do this? This is my answer, and this is the correct answer for everybody. That's bullshit. It's not. Any option that I look at, any option that I have as far as a preference or something I showcase isn't the answer for you. It's the answer for me. It may be something you wind up being interested in and decide it's the answer for you. But if you play your games on a Raspberry Pi, you play your games on a Super Nintendo Classic Edition, a PlayStation Classic Edition, on your PC, on a laptop, a Chromebook, it doesn't freaking matter. If you're enjoying your time, who cares? If you're buying retro games, who cares? That's your preference. That's your choice. Nobody can hinder your enjoyment of these things. So whatever decision you make, whatever works for you as far as a budget, just what makes sense, that's the correct answer. Not what I have to say or anybody else has to say. And like I said, those are the things that drive me nuts is the elitist attitude. You know, I'll point out things that I think is bullshit, or things that like a company misrepresents, or, you know, they mess up on the design of something. I'll point that stuff out. But in the end, if the thing works for you, if it gives you what you want out of it and it's worth the money and the investment, then who cares? That's it works for you. More power to you. Have fun. Enjoy your life, enjoy your games, but just remember, there's tons of options out there. There's different ways to game. There's different ways to go about it, and there's no right or wrong answers. So, yeah, story time. Screw it. Just wanted to talk about some stuff. I'm recording another video that's taken me forever, and I just had to take this breather and just kind of rant and rave on some stuff. So, hey, I'm sure there'll be a lot of, different thoughts on this subject. Share it. Let me know what you think. But hey, I really do appreciate you guys hanging out with me. With that said, I will catch you guys next time. Peace out. Bye-bye. And boom. Bye.